Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Concord Township Council for the month of June 3rd, 2025. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. First item on the agenda is recognition and announcements. Colleen, I think you have a recognition of a group of young ladies here who are carrying bat boxes. I guess we're going to learn more about that in the next 5 or 10. And Mr. Gillespie has a cricket in his pocket, but anyway. Thanks for the soundtrack. Go ahead, Colleen, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we would like to recognize Girl Scout Troop number 574 for their work to construct bat boxes. Whereas the Girl Scouts of the United States of America began in 1912 with Savannah George, native Juliet Daisy Gordon Lowe, gathered 18 girls to provide them with an opportunity to develop physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the Girl Scouts, through continuous programs and troop meetings for girls of all ages, provides members with a bridge to the future by developing good citizenship, teaching important skills, encouraging career exploration, and increasing world understanding. And the members of Girl Scout Troop 574 constructed and painted 12 bat boxes to be installed around Concord Township to help protect the local bat population, which are an important part of a functioning ecosystem and serve as pollinators and pest control. And Girl Scout Troop 574 has earned their Bronze Award doing this project. Therefore, be it resolved that Concord Township Council thanks the Girl Scout Troop 574 for completing this unique service project, commends them on earning their Bronze Award, and encourages each girl to continue their commitment to excellence as a Girl Scout leader in our community. I'd like to ask our Director of Parks and Recreation, Steve, to say a few words about this project that he's worked with the troop on.
Sure thing. Thanks, Colleen. Yes, thank you so much to the girls in Troop 574. The girls approached our Parks and Recreation Department and our Birdtown Committee with the idea of doing a sustainable project and ultimately landed on the construction of these 12 bat boxes. They worked very hard over the last several months to put these together, and now you will be able to see the fruit of their labor. Thank you very much to the troop leader, Jamie, and the girls as well, and also congratulations on graduating 5th grade here shortly, and good luck next year. Thanks, everybody.
Colleen, is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, that's in the form of a motion.
Is there
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Before we come down there, do any of you want to explain how they work? The bat box. If not, that's fine, but sure, go ahead.
The bat boxes work by keeping like a home for the bats, so like the bat population doesn't dwindle. So it's like a home for the bats where they can like stay the night. Like
Great.
it's like a nest. It's like a nest.
All right, let's go down and get a picture.
Dominic noted a typo. Let me just hand it to you. We'll get them, there we go. Georgia instead of George. There we go.
cat's got away. Okay. Thank you. Continuing on with the agenda, the upcoming meeting and events. There's more information on the website. On June 5th, there's a Park and Rec Board meeting at 6 p.m. June 7th, National Trail Day Hike, 9 a.m. at the First State National Park. June 8th, the sensational summer kickoff, 7 p.m. concert at the Smithbridge Park featuring the Soul Cruisers. June 11th, Historic Commission meeting. June 14th, at the Race for the Watershed at the Grits Mill and Ducky Regatta. It's at the Newland Grits Mill, begins at 9 a.m. June 15th, there'll be a farmer's market at the Smithbridge Road Park at 9 a.m. June 16th is the Planning Commission public meeting. June 19th is the Juneteenth Day of Service at AME Church on Spring Valley Road, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. June 21st is Music with Miss Brooke at Smithbridge Park, 10 a.m. June 22nd is another farmer's market at the Smithbridge Park. June 27th, Movie in the Park, Smithbridge Park, 7 p.m. Wizard of Oz is the original? Really? Get the hell out of here. Okay, that's good. I don't think people watch that anymore. June 19th, Farmers Market at the Smithbridge Park. We'll move right into reports. First report is Public Safety. Vanita?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. Based on the Fire Marshal's report, in the month of May, there were 101 basic life support and 211 advanced life support requests. There were a total of 39 non-medical incidents in the township, of which 43% of the total incidents were false alarm and false call incidents. There were 2 brush fires and 1 other fire. There were a total of 11 motor vehicle accidents and 15 accidental auto alarms. 2 hazmats and 4 investigations were completed. The township had also extended 1 additional burn day on May 31st to allow the residents to complete burns hampered by rainfall due to the 2 legal burn days in May. An illegal burning was terminated, and the homeowner was given a copy of the ordinance, and the burn pile was extinguished. An unleashed dog at Bethel Dog Park pinned a patron in her car while the owner was not in the area or in control of the animal. We also want to keep all of our residents informed that in the state of Pennsylvania, all dogs must be under control and must not be allowed to run at large. Dogs are personal property, and owners are responsible for the damage caused by their dogs. In 2025, this month is observed by the National Safety Council as a National Safety Month for the month of June, and which emphasizes safety in all areas of life, whether it's home, work, or outdoor activities. So stay safe and enjoy the summer. That's all for the report for today.
Mr. Cross, on Open Space, Trails, and Recreation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You just listed off all the fabulous activities we've got going on the month of June. Our summer is full of wonderful things. I'd particularly like to call attention for folks to come out and support our farmers market. That's going to be throughout June, and also for the Race for the Watershed, Ducky Regatta at the Newland Grist Mill on the 14th that raises funds for the grist mill, which is an important asset in our community. But lastly, I'd like to just highlight that the progress on Beaver Valley Park is going along very nicely. If anyone's had a chance to drive down Beaver Valley Road, which I know a lot of our folks tonight drive down Beaver Valley Road, then you've noticed all the improvements. From the sidewalk is in, the playground equipment is in. That is an area that I think Concord Township will be very, very proud of, and will be, again, another wonderful asset for the neighborhood.
Sewer and Public Works, Mr. Gillespie, please.
Yes, Mr. President. For Public Works, a few items. 369 South Ivy Lane. The Public Works crew completed a repair and replacement of 140 feet of 18-inch storm pipe and storm drain cleaning throughout the township. Staff cleaned all the storm drains to ensure proper water flow and prevent blockages during heavy rainfall. And road repairs, staff completed many pothole repairs. And with regard to the sanitary sewer department, the new replacement UV is finally operational. That's ultraviolet light system is finally operational. And PICO has been all over the township recently, installing new power poles throughout the area. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Building and Code Enforcement, Colleen, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the month, we processed 93 permits, 26 certificate of occupancies. As of note, the Pulte Spring Lake community now has 59 final certificates of occupancy. Encompass project, the decking is complete and the exterior walls continue to be installed at this point. We issued some final COs on new businesses, Golden Waffles at 1 Braxton Way, Bowman Consulting at 2 Braxton Way, and Simon I, which was formerly Point of View on Baltimore Pike. And some new businesses coming soon, Celebrity School, The Learning Experience, S2 STEM Childcare, J. Crew moving to the Town Center, Rejuve Pod, Ombre Spray Tan, Ryan's Rise Up Cafe, LL Bean, and orthopedic specialists. So a lot of businesses opening soon. That is the end of my report.
Okay. Planning Commission is Larry's report. He is not here. We will just enter it into the record. Solicitor, Mr. Donahue.
Yes, please be advised there is no new litigation. And also be advised, or I will advise the public, that we were engaged in a session this evening, executive session, discussing Valley Point Church and a matter that is on appeal from the Zoning Hearing Board.
Thank you. Township Engineer, Nate.
Good evening. Only update is we are working with the road program contractor to get that scheduled and get the contracts in order. They may start here in the month of June, but we're trying to pin them then now. We're just waiting for school to wrap up before we give them the green light. So I'll keep Amanda updated, and then we'll use social media and the other township channels to update the public on that.
Okay. Township Manager, Amanda.
I just want to, I know Steve Jacobs, our Director of Parks and Recreation, was just in here, and I just wanted to thank him so much and his team for all the amazing things that they have planned over the summer, including a summer camp that I know they're really looking forward to. So if anybody has little ones, they are still taking registration, I believe, but that is a limited group that'll be at one of the parks. So really excited, a lot of stuff going on. I'm really hoping, I see a lot of residents in the room, that everyone engages with us this summer because our team is working really hard on that aspect. So other than that, nothing else to report. Thanks.
Okay. Next part of the agenda is citizen comment. That is for any issues before the township or anything that's part of the business agenda this evening. Please come forward and identify yourself for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Solicitor, and members of council. My name is Michael D. Fiorentino. I'm an attorney, and I represent residents of the township who live in close proximity to the Penwoods Winery. Charlene Emlet, Patrick and Diana Emlet, Hugh Mikesell, Felix Strader, and Deb and Frank Capriati.
Now, if I just may make a
Yes.
few remarks. So pursuant to resolution number 15 of 2023, and in accordance with the Home Rule Charter and the Sunshine Act, Concord Township has developed rules with respect to these public discussions. And this, council, as we discussed and as you realize, this is not a legal proceeding. So public comment period is limited to 20 minutes and will take place after the reports. If all the speakers have not finished their comments within the allotted time, council president will, at his or her discretion, allow for additional minutes or request that additional public comment be submitted in writing and addressed to the township manager within the next 2 business days. Any township resident or taxpayer wishing to address the council must first be recognized by the council president and then must identify him or herself by name and address. The speaker must address their comments to council as a whole, not to individuals or to staff. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to comment. After the speaker has made his or her comment, he or she shall be seated without further debate, dialogue, or comment. If a speaker has not finished his or her comments within the allotted time period, Council President will, at his or her discretion, A, allow the speaker to continue for an additional minute, or B, request that the speaker be seated and submit the remainder of their comments in writing addressed to the Township Manager within the next 2 business days. My understanding, Council, is you're here representing people or citizens who are opposed to the Penwoods Winery application. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think you've indicated that you're representing specifically 4 people?
No, I believe it may be 6.
6 people? Okay, wait, excuse me.
I can provide those.
Just excuse
Yeah.
me for a second.
Sure.
Ma'am, council's here, and I'm sure he can represent himself, so let him speak, because okay? Let council
Sure,
speak.
I'll respond to the
Sure.
inquiry. There's 7 individuals that I represent, and I will provide their addresses. Am I too loud? No. Okay.
All right, now, just before you get started, I'm assuming Mr. Goebbels is here, and he's going to want to speak tonight in a public session. Is that correct? Is that correct, Mr. Goebel? Correct. Okay. Anyone else that was intending on speaking in this public session? Excuse me, sir. Mr. Cleary, if you would just maintain decorum. I'm trying to allocate time appropriately. Thank you. Yes,
Dave,
yes, ma'am.
Dave, I will let Mr. Donahue conduct this part of the meeting. Please go ahead, Mr. Donahue.
You also, ma'am? Okay. So we allocate 20 minutes. It's up to the president to allocate more time. We have Mr. Goebel that wants to speak. This young lady over in the left-hand corner, wants to speak. So I would suggest, why don't you start? We'll give you 15 minutes and see where we are at that point,
Okay.
and then proceed accordingly, okay?
Appreciate that.
You got it.
All right. Let me begin. I'll indicate the addresses. Charlene Emlet is 88 Reed Street. The Capriottis are 69 Walker Avenue. Mr. Strader is 68 Summit Avenue. Mr. Mikesell is 86 Summit Avenue. And Diana and Patrick Emlet are 57 Summit Avenue. We do ask and the council to vote against the resolution, vote down the resolution, because the expansion that's proposed is going to be very detrimental to the public interest vis-a-vis the roadways, the traffic, parking overflow issues, public safety with people walking on the roads, and of course, with the quiet use and enjoyment of the property of my clients and other residents who are here. I believe there are other residents who've chosen not to speak who are also concerned about the noise factor coming from the Penwoods Winery. Now, many of the folks here were completely fine, had no objections to the Penwoods Winery as a vineyard and a small tasting room for decades, really. It was only in relatively recent years that larger events began taking place there, and it's now considered routine business at the facility, which results in very loud sounds, not just from patrons who are enjoying themselves outside in close proximity to this residential neighborhood, but also due to amplified music. I have numerous exhibits I'd like to hand up, if I may. Some of them will involve me referring to some of my clients to provide actual audio. And I think I would like to go to that now. I will start with the video and audio that Charlene Emlet has. Charlene, if you could come up and play for the council the video that you've taken. Please, we've already identified Ms. Emlet and her address. If you could identify the date that that video and audio was taken.
Happy to do so. So, I lost it. It's, I'm sorry, I'm shaking.
She's looking for that. I'm going to hand up some other exhibits until she finds it. And I will ask Ms. Emlet to verify that all these exhibits were assembled and taken by her. The first one is a Google Earth shot, which provides the approximate distances of each of my clients' homes from the Penwoods property. So I can hand up several copies. The next, and we'll consider that 01. 02 is going to be an exhibit which provides the dates of normal operations, not a special event at the winery, normal operations where the grass lot was utilized for a large number of vehicles. And the dates are provided as well as photographs taken by Ms. Emlet on these days. At this point, it appears that Ms. Emlet has the audio ready, and if you bring it over here, your sound box near the microphone, that would help. So please provide the date that this audio was taken.
November 4th, 2023.
That's sufficient. Thank you, and come back one more second. And where did you take that video and audio?
I took it from my backyard facing Fenswood Winery.
Okay. Thank you.
Where is your backyard?
She's at 88 Reed Street. And I think the document that I just handed up has the distance between her yard and the winery. The next is a series of color photographs, Google Earth shots, which will show the changes at the winery from 2004 up to, I believe, last year. So this will be 03. And these were all assembled, pulled down and assembled by Ms. Hemlett. A series of photographs next taken by Ms. Emlet on May 11th, 2024. This will be 04. And these will show just how many cars are parking. Sort of from the ground level, you can see what it looks like from Beaver Valley Road. Yes. Yes, 04. 05 is photos taken by Ms. Emlet on May 17th, showing traffic buildup and the off-street parking, as well as patrons walking along the road. The final shot in this packet in 05 shows the view from Ms. Emlet's backyard, where she can see portions of the winery property. May 6, 2025, just last weekend, some photographs. This will be 06, taken by Ms. Emlet, also showing heavy use of the overflow parking. And if perhaps, Ms. Emlet, can you confirm that that was on a normal operation day?
Yes, I can. I confirmed with my right to know this morning.
Photographs taken on Mother's Day 11 with an aerial drone, not taken over the property, but to areas to the east of the property. These images were shot. Ms. Emlet was present. Would you come up briefly and describe the drone that was used and who took it?
So my uncle Ray Naylor is an FAA licensed and certified drone operator per, I think it's part 107. So he followed those rules when he took this photo here for my gift. And on this particular day, he flew the DJI model, manufacturing, and it's an Air 3S model drone.
Thank you. So in this aerial photo, you can see the full extent across 2 photographs. One aerial image was not enough to capture all the cars on this property. So you have to look to the second page to see the rest of it. But you can see just how extensive it is. The hundreds of cars that are parked on this land for the events of Mother's Day, 07. 08, this is an exhibit compiled by Ms. Emlett, where she developed a chart of all the special events since 2022. I believe, are these all the special events, Ms. Emlett? Yes. And each of the applications or the permits that were, the application permits that were given for these. So this is 08. All right. Okay. Some additional here. All right, Ms. Emily, if you could just come up briefly. Did you go up onto the website? Have you been up on the website for Penwoods Winery to see their live music schedule?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand out these. You'll look at one. Does this look like the recent printout of their music schedule?
Yes.
Okay, and can you flip through that? And are you familiar with how many music events they have lined up for this warm weather season?
Well, warm weather, that's a question. So from May to October, it's 65 events, music events, 65, May through October in total.
Thank you. All right. Now, from those aerial pictures on Mother's Day, Ms. Emlett, did you take the time to count the vehicles that were on the property?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Are these the photographs?
Yes.
Flip to page 2, please. Oh, okay. Ms. Emlett's displaying the photographs in large form, but I will hand this up as 010. Okay, and then this is the May 12th, 2025, and on page 2 of this exhibit, does this indicate that you counted the vehicles in the photographs?
I absolutely counted them, yes.
Okay, and how much was what was the total vehicles?
The total number of vehicles was 316 that were either on the property or adjacent to the property.
When you say adjacent to the property, what do you mean?
What I mean is that the Pennswood Winery operates and owns the property at 124 Beaver Valley. However, they do, I think, rent. I'm sorry, I don't know the agreement, but they either rent or they do use the property that's adjacent to them. And so that is the property to the west of them. In addition, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Emlett, are you familiar with the comprehensive plan map of Concord Township?
I am.
Okay, and if I handed you this item, which is going to be marked as 011, would you be able to identify this as the comprehensive plan map?
I would.
Could you identify your neighborhood on there?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, let's just have you mark your property with the yellow highlighter. Okay, and then maybe with the black pen, circle the Penwoods Winery.
The property itself?
Yes.
Got
Okay.
it?
Does this document provide the slope topography throughout the township?
It does.
Okay, and is on the property that you circled as Penwoods Winery, is there any indication of any steep slope?
There is.
Okay, and what does that indicate in terms of the percentage of steep slope using the legend?
It says 15 to 25% slope.
Okay, thank you. So I'll hand up the one that she marked. All right, now, what this indicates, and I'll do one more here. This will be O12. May need an extra pen. Lost my pen.
It's right here. I'll get you.
Okay. So, thanks. Okay. So O12 is one of the, it's the parking exhibit plan for Gino Rozzi, which has been submitted. And I'll hand up copies of this. I'm going to circle an area to the western portion of the property. And I'll ask the council to make its own judgment whether that area that I've marked essentially lines up with the steep slopes on the comprehensive plan map of the township. Now, the point being with what appears from the parking exhibit plan to be the topographical lines of the contour lines certainly seems to suggest, and as supported by the comprehensive map, so it certainly suggests that that's an area of steep slope to the west of the actual winery proposed barn. I think you'll find if you take the time to look at I think it's considered the erosion and sedimentation map. One of the large plan exhibits. We probably don't have time to look at it here, but give it a go because I think it's important. It certainly appears that the seepage bed, because they are required to take care of the stormwater. They're building a significant area of impervious surface on this property with the new barn and the deck, covered deck. And so they need to handle their stormwater. They've submitted a stormwater analysis, but they've developed a seepage bed, and they've placed it in an area that I don't believe is proper or should actually truly be in compliance with the township ordinances. There is a township ordinance regarding natural features and steep slopes, as you know, which I believe is at 160-49 of the township code. And if you look at one of these maps, I think you will see that this particular seepage bed has been built or is proposed to be built in the steep slopes. For that alone, this plan fails to satisfy the ordinances. Now, as you know, through general saldo procedure, but also specifically on the final plan itself, which includes all of the conditions of the special exception that were imposed by the zoning hearing board. One of them specifically states, you can have your approval and your special exception, but you must satisfy all the ordinances, essentially, of the township. And they name quite a few of them, but it's including but not limited to. So anytime you see a failure of them to satisfy, fully satisfy a portion of your ordinances, that violates the plan agreement and the special exception agreement. So if I have time to come back to that, I will. But trust me, if you look at it, you'll see That's where the seepage bed is. That is not a permissible land alteration in the steep slope. So in addition to the steep slope, we also have numerous other non-compliance issues that I'll point out briefly. Some of these have been identified by the Delaware County Planning Commission. Some of them have been identified by Pannoni Engineering on May 15th, 2025. But I'll state a few of them. One, and by the way, if they don't meet this, they do not deserve, and by law, should not receive an approval for this plan. 210-196A says that parking must be on a single lot. But we know that many of the spaces, as demonstrated in these photographs and testified to by Ms. Emlett, many of these photographs, these parking spaces are off-site. They're not on the lot on which the development is taking place. So that is non-compliance. 210-196E, also parking. Some of the parking off-site is shown to be 76 spaces in a single area. Your ordinance says that only 60 are allowed in a single parking area. There is non-compliance there. Now, those are zoning matters. They never asked for zoning relief from that, but they still have to satisfy the zoning ordinance. They don't. In addition, paving and curbing at 210-198 indicates that parking needs to be paved. I see that in your resolution you're proposing that they can use grass parking. That would be a variance that they've never received, nor did they ever ask for a modification. So if you were in a position to grant that in your resolution, they would have needed to request that as a written modification in their plan application, and they did not do so. The only modification that was requested, I believe, it's indicated in the letter from Pannoni on May 15th, the requirements of 160-9H, allowing them to submit a single preliminary/final plan rather than two separate plans. That's the only waiver they have sought. Anything else that I'm reading to you that has not been satisfied, you don't have the power to give them the waiver legally because they never requested it in writing. And that's according to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. It's very clear on that. Now,
Council, I don't want to interrupt you.
You're giving me a warning, time warning?
You got your time. In fact, you've exceeded it, but I'm giving you some leeway here.
I do appreciate that.
Almost done.
Okay, yeah, let me wrap it up then, if I might. Couple of additional items. The traffic statement from the town, from Mr. Federico that they submitted. Your engineers have said, well, we think you should have submitted, you should do more. Basically, you should do a traffic study, is what your engineer said. It's not a traffic study, it's a statement. He called it a statement because he didn't actually conduct a study. We don't have any actual counts of traffic. He used the trip generator, which I submit to you doesn't really apply well here because this is not just an ordinary sort of special business or an ordinary winery. This is like a turbo winery, essentially, that runs big events all the time. It's not a typical winery. The trip generator numbers would not apply. They also failed to satisfy the landscape buffers. 210-193A1, a buffer next to an adjoining residential district must be 30 feet. And per this final plan, they only have a 20-foot buffer. They're short 10 feet, okay? The client, now, the law suggests at appellate court level, even a single reason may support a denial of a land development plan. That's the Kausuf, as Solicitor Donahue knows, the Kausuf case from Commonwealth 2005, Commonwealth Court. Now, and lastly, what needs to happen here is that a modification could be granted, but again, it needed to be in writing. Modifications were not offered in writing. Even if they were in writing, they would still need to show that there was an undue hardship imposed. If you don't modify our rules, you have an undue hardship. I submit to you, there is no hardship being imposed on this winery. They have excessive use of their lot for parking. They need not violate the parking codes in order to run a successful business on this property. It's not an undue hardship. Undue hardship is never that you're not allowed to get the maximum amount of financial gain that you can from your operation. That's not the definition of an undue hardship. And lastly, it has to be in the public interest. Your nuisance ordinance is also violated. It is 124.2. It's violated on a regular basis by these operations. The amplified music, it's not permitted, but it's been happening. These folks have endured quite a bit. You only got to hear one operation, but I have Mr. Emlet has his from 1,000 feet away, and his is just as loud. And you can hear this music. If you're trying to enjoy your property, you are enduring a nuisance on your property outside anytime on the weekends in any of the warm days of the year. You're hearing the music from this place. Now, I mean, it can be a nice operation. They're not currently running it in a way that's conducive to peaceful enjoyment of your residents in this township.
Council, thank you. We
right.
appreciate it.
Thank
And,
you. Appreciate that.
Just so the record's clear too, I believe many of these exhibits have already been supplied to the township, have they not, ma'am? I think you got them to Township Manager.
Just if I could close by saying that anything that's been
Hold on,
submitted.
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on a second.
All right.
I just wanted to get the question answered.
So, no, there are additions in today's discussion that were
Sure.
not previously submitted during the Planning Commission's hearings.
I understand that, but you've also submitted, in addition to the Planning Commission information, I thought, because I received information from the manager, information that you supplied to council and the manager.
I have submitted quite a bit of information, so
Thank
yes.
you so much.
And we simply ask that everything that Ms. Emlet has submitted to the township in regards to this plan be considered part of the record for this matter. Thank you very much.
That's what I was getting across. I think it's been incorporated. I know many members of this council have seen it, so that's great.
And if I may, you indicated that if there's additional comment to be made, we can submit within 2 days.
That's up to you.
Okay.
Council may or may not act on this tonight. I don't know.
I understand. Thank you. If I just get a moment to take my things away, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And while you're doing that, is there someone else here that's going to speak on this subject? Okay, we're going to do this in an orderly fashion. This lovely lady here, I think, is going to be next. And if you'd identify yourself for the record.
My name is Ruth Ann Purchase James. I am a cottager at the Brandywine Summit Camp Meeting, 119 Beaver Valley Road. My legal address is in Cheswold, Delaware. Is that good enough? Okay. I have 3 quick questions and a comment, but my conscience causes me to just...
Well, I just want to warn you, we may not be answering questions, but you can make as many comments as, within the time frame.
And you'll save the questions and meditate on them, I hope. Before I start, I have to say, by my conscience, that we are on Lenape land. This is the land of the ancient people of the Lenape. Wanishi ok onkuntuakan, nulam hitawananak okwelan kuntuakan, kike yu yamananing kake. This is the language of the ancient culture of the Lenape people. And we have an obligation to honor the beauty of our region as they would have it honored, because they are real people that still live among us. And I can introduce them to you at another time. I would like to know on that topic if you are collaborating with the National Park on the development around the National Park, because our driveway is on the border of the new National Park, as you know from all the Save the Beaver Valley things you probably saw me at. So that's one question. How are you collaborating with the National Park on development around the National Park? Second question, how are you requiring this winery to become a good neighbor of both the National Park and our national historic registry site, which was founded in 1860s to help the city of Wilmington, Delaware, heal from the Civil War. This place was set aside by the Johnson family. If you know the big stone house on the corner, kind of catty corner to the meat deli, that was the Johnson farmhouse and the log cabin that was removed and taken to the Newland Mills. The Johnsons had married into the Newland family. Well, that Johnson family donated these 13 acres for a quiet retreat. And they said, you can have this land if you don't cut down a tree. Now that, as you know, with the ash tree, emerald ash borer, and now the beech infestation, it's a very expensive task to take care of 13 acres of ancient trees. We have the biggest known tulip poplar on this property. So how are they going to be required to be good neighbors? How will they collaborate? For instance, when you look at their website, it says every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, loud music blaring. We have over 150 years of silent retreat to hear the glory of God, to hear the beauty of the birds singing and the Beaver Creek gurgling. This is where we go to restore ourselves, to heal from all the divisions in our world. And we do it without addictions. We're trying to create a space where people can come and not be plagued by addictive behavior. So it's very hard when a lot of people from the vineyard are coming over, curiosity seekers, tourists, and also lost people that are just ending up in our camp, and they don't know where they are. And they're from all over the region, coming to weddings and whatnot. So how will they become good neighbors? Every year, every camp meeting across the United States and some of Europe has an illumination night. If any of you are familiar with the movements or have vacationed on Martha's Vineyard, they have illumination nights. It's a big event where they celebrate this beautiful gift. And there'll be concerts this year on that night that conflict with our programming that we have been doing for over 150 years, the second week of August. So we just want to know how will we ever collaborate if there's no conversation and there's no honor for people trying to heal from alcohol addiction and heal from the prejudice of the great divide between the wealthy and the poor. Third question is about safety. And we don't understand how to handle a lot of the people that come onto our property. They come, as I said, lost, just wandering around. We don't know who they are. We have very elderly people there that have been 5 generations there. We have very young children who think they're safe. I mean, we're used to feeling very safe in that little corner of the world. It's a very special feeling to be safe. But now we have all these strangers. Many times they've been drinking and they don't have very respectful manners. So these are the 3 main questions I have. I would like to give you something, if I'm permitted to hand something to you. This is our open house announcement and our general brochure that just tells a little bit about the history. Could I turn this in? And we typically have about 15 events a month, but they're very small because it's for retreat, it's for quiet time. So I hope you'll honor the fact that you steward a national registry site that most people don't even know exists, and that you'll come and learn about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
This Saturday is an open house, by the way. And we have a famous book talk about Chautauquas and camp meetings in July. So I invite you all to enjoy the forests at Beaver Creek. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one quick question. Where will this be followed up at? I hear that they're presenting it right now, but will there be further meetings?
On the land use application, the board may accept it tonight, accept it with conditions, decline it, whatever. That's what this is about.
I'm assuming it'll be declined, but...
Ma'am, I wouldn't assume anything, and you've been to many meetings, so, you can wait and see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, and then it'll be followed up with something.
Sure, anybody can pursue any legal remedies they feel appropriate. You got it. Yes, sir.
Long time no see, Al.
Yes, I think most of you people know me as the Beech Tree guy, and also from Concord Fire Company, where I was an EMT for about 30 years.
Absolutely.
So
thank
at
you.
any rate, I live at Beaver Valley and Summit Avenue, right on the corner. So what I see is the traffic going by all the time. The ones going in, the ones going out. Now, not everybody going past my house is going to the winery, but a lot of them are coming from the winery. Now, my whole problem with the winery is just traffic and the safety of the people involved coming out of there. How many wines have they drunk before they hit the road? Nobody knows. And there's no way to regulate that. So we have Beaver Valley Road toward 202, which right on our corner, we have at least, I think it's now 6 children, a couple of whom cross Beaver Valley to go down to the farm, and they don't look. And it just worries me that there'll be an accident there, and I'll have to go do something about it because, of course, I'm still an EMT. But, you know, that's not a worry. What is a worry is that a child been hurt. So the traffic toward my house is straight through to 202. The traffic in the other direction is over a couple of hills, which when I go over those hills, I get all the way to the right-hand side of the road, off the road if I can. And because there's probably some nut coming the other way who is halfway in my lane. You can't see over the hill. And you can't see it, you don't know that it's there, and you're just blithely going over the hill or going to the left a little bit, and that's not good. So this is my concern. It's just the traffic. And I don't know how you could straighten that out. I think the Rousey family has made a wonderful business there, incredible business, and it's incredibly grown. But now we're at the point where it's a little too big for that small area. So that's my complaint. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Al.
Anyone else on this particular subject?
Ken Empill, 39 Millrace Place. I'm not in Summit Camp, but I'm concerned as a resident about the potential litigation costs from other businesses in Concord, that if you were to approve this, item number 11 allows for outdoor entertainment on the site. It even says that the music shall be projected in a westerly direction. In a recent meeting, you gave conditional use to Heroes Bar and Grill, and item number 8 in that conditional use stated that no live marketing and/or entertainment will be permitted at any time in the outdoor dining area. What's interesting about that is that Heroes Bar and Grill is at least a half a mile from the nearest house. And Pennswoods Winery is in a residentially zoned district a few hundred feet from houses. So I know this is true of Rosalie Restaurant. I know it's true of Harvest, I believe, applied for outdoor music and was denied. I know that possibly other restaurants in the area, especially restaurants zoned in residential areas, have been denied outdoor entertainment abilities, and yet Pennswoods Winery has allowed it 62 times. Did I hear that?
Thank you. Anyone else on this subject? Hearing none, Mr. Goebel, I think you wanted to speak.
I better start by apologizing for my unfortunate choice of t-shirts today. I don't know anything about Chad's Ford Winery, I've never been there. I bought this at the Goodwill. Apparently somebody else was not happy with it and returned the shirt. I would say I'd support you folks, but the township always does the opposite of what I suggest, so please approve it. All right. Anyhow, moving on. I have 2 other objections to the consent agenda. Number 1, the public meetings from last month, the notes that are associated with me and Ms. Chirac, where she states she advised the Home Depot is planning to make a conditional use application. No such words are spoken from Ms. Shirok. She said they would be submitting an application. She never used the words conditional use. I know you have some latitude in the notes you take. They don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to make an issue of this because had she used the words conditional use, there would have been further discussions last month. Which brings me to my second objection in the consent agenda for the accepting the conditional application for the Home Depot. It is not eligible for conditional use. The PIP zoning allows outdoor storage of materials only through a special exception, and if that's the case, it has to be fenced. This has been denoted in prior letters from the township to the Home Depot. If they want to have outdoor storage without fencing, it needs to be a variance. Can anyone advise me why this is before the board tonight?
They're just, I believe tonight they're just accepting an application for the conditional use. Can I finish?
Yes, please.
And I think it's then going to be referred to the Planning Commission, and sir, we'll take it from there.
My question is, it's not eligible for a conditional use.
I'm not so sure that's true, because these uses were granted back in 2006 by resolution for the entire center, and the parking scheme was also described at that time. But this, sir, you may have an argument to make, and let's see where it goes. Tonight's just accepting the application.
Again,
Nobody's
the application,
decided, no one's ruling
the point
on
is the application cannot be accepted. It has to be a special exemption. It can't be heard by this board.
I disagree with you in that regard.
The purpose of conditional use is to consider additional restrictions to the existing zoning. The existing zoning for PIP only allows outdoor storage of materials through a special exemption.
Thank you.
Henceforth, you can't consider it because it's an inappropriate application.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Mr. Cleary, do you have any? Not permission, I'm just asking you if you'd like to.
I actually wasn't planning on coming up here and speak. Dave Cleary, Schoolhouse 72, Schoolhouse Lane. I heard Solicitor Donahue read the ordinance that gives the president of the board the control and running of the public comment. If you are actually going to cede, I actually had to call out, I don't like doing that in public meetings, but if you're going to cede your powers under the codes of Concord Township to the solicitor, first, I don't agree, but you got to say that before he takes over your meeting, sir. And he also made comments on behalf of the members of the board that they looked at documents or they've already seen much of the materials or they're familiar. I would recommend that he leaves that to the elected officials to speak on their own behalf, and we don't use a highly compensated lawyer to speak for you. I went to flight school, not law school, but I sure understand the right of a citizen to question their elected officials, and you shouldn't be hiding behind a solicitor, and you should be speaking for yourself, and you shouldn't be making citizens have to go through a highly compensated, unelected official to speak in a public forum at an elected official's meeting, sir.
Thank you.
Sir and ma'am.
And that's responses from me. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move on with the business part of the agenda. First part is the consent agenda, and we will be approving the council public meeting minutes of the May 13th, 2025 meeting. Dana, we're paying some bills this month.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. So our total expenditures is $1,822,133.50. Consists of May payroll, which is $199,945.17. Current bills, $1,068,607.70, and our sewer bills, $553,580.63.
Thank you. Mr. Gillespie, I think we have some financial releases and also some certificate of payments.
Yes, Mr. President. First one being Orchard Knoll at Brinton Lake and Mill Roads. We have a security release number 4 in the amount of $111,112.17 for storm sewers, underground tank basins, and retaining walls. And the next one would be the Beaver Valley Park certificate for payment number 2 in the amount of $74,732.40. The next one being the ultraviolet disinfection upgrade station project, which is the electrical construction portion for AJM Electric. The payment request is $6,750. And then the final one, I believe, is the ultraviolet disinfection upgrade pay estimate number 1 for the general construction, which is AJ Jurek, in the amount of $309,410.10. And we also have a Concord Community Center Fire Suppression System certificate of payment number 3 to Guy M. Cooper, Inc., in the amount of $74,137.50.
Okay, and we're also going to accept as complete for filing the following application, a conditional use application for Home Depot outdoor storage. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Items 2 and 3 have to do with the ARPA updates and the Octorara Trail updates. Usually I hand this over to Amanda and/or Nate to chime in as they see fit.
Honestly, we can move quick on those items. We are continuing to move forward with the 2 lingering projects that are related to that have to do with stormwater management. Can you hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So on the ARPA project, we have 2 lingering projects that have to do with stormwater management that we're still waiting on permitting from the DEP on. Once we get that, then we'll be moving forward and we'll have further updates. But I like to keep the item on here to make sure we're continuing to do that. Octorara Trail, we are continuing to move forward. We just entered into the right-of-way acquisition portion of the project. And we have been reaching out to those along the Octorara line that will be needing either easement or construction easement from. So those folks have been reached out to this week, and we hope to set up meetings soon to continue those great discussions. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Gillespie has asked if the council could take a 5-minute recess. He has some questions he'd like to discuss. Is that a problem?
No, not at all.
Okay, we're going to recess for about 5 minutes, and we'll be right back. Okay. So everyone, please call the meeting back to order, please. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 29 of 2025. I will read the resolution in its entirety, ask for a motion and second, then council will have chances to ask questions of the consultants or whoever else they need up here, and then we will call for a vote. So this is Resolution 29 of 2025, which is a preliminary final land development plan for the, everybody knows where it's for the vineyard over there. It is subject to the following 32 conditions. Number one, compliance with all comments contained in the Pannoni Review Letter dated December 9th, 2024, last revised May 15th, 2025, attached as Exhibit A. Number two, all comments contained in HRG Sanitary Sewer Review Letter dated December 10th, 2024, last revised May 15th, 2025. That's Exhibit B. All comments in the Thomas Committa Review Letter dated November 20th, 2024, last revised May 12th, 2025. That's Exhibit C. All comments in the Fire Marshal's email dated November 21, 2024, revised on May 12th. That's Exhibit D. Satisfy comments number 1 and 3 contained in the Concord Township Historical Commission's email dated December 13th, 2024. That is Exhibit E. Satisfy all comments with the exception of comment 5 in the Concord Township Planning Commission memorandum dated May 19th, 2025. That is Exhibit F. All conditions of, number 7, all conditions of the Concord Township Zoning Hearing Board Special Exception Decision and order dated June 24th, 2024, attached as Exhibit G, and of the Zoning Hearing Board letter dated August 5th, 2024, attached as Exhibit G1. Number 8, submission to the Township of all required permits and external approvals, including but not limited to the PennDOT Highway occupancy permits, PA DEP sewage planning module exemption, and PA DEP NPDES as applicable prior to construction. Number 9, developer agrees that any future building or expansions will require land development and or zoning hearing board approval, including the addition of any more than 16 umbrellas, sage shells, or other associated outdoor seating. Number 10, hours of operation are limited to 11 to 9 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and 11 to 8 p.m. on Sundays through Thursday. Number 11, all noise, including food trucks, generators, speakers, and or any entertainment shall be projected in a generally westerly direction and located in the barn deck designated outdoor use area or a limited area of the parking lot to be approved by the township prior to the release of the signed plans. Number 12, building, dumpster pad, retaining wall, and architectural plans and elevations shall be provided for review by the Township Design Review Committee prior to the issuance of a building permit. Township approval shall not be unreasonably withheld. Number 13, upon issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the new building, the existing house will only be utilized for office and or storage space. Number 14, dumpster, trash, storage shall be relocated away from the eastern property line to an area as approved by the township and the applicant. Number 15, lighting shall be modified at the entrance, exit drives to provide adequate coverage. Number 16, existing spotlights on the east side of the existing building shall be removed. Number 17, lighting and landscaping must be maintained per the recorded plan and replaced in kind as needed. Any substitutions are subject to the approval of the township. Number 18, prior to installation, the buffering elements, including specific plant locations for the eastern property line, are to be determined in the field with the township engineer or his designee to fill any gaps in the existing vegetation or fencing. Number 19, all parking lots shall be screened from Beaver Valley Road by shrubs and or hedgerow, and the existing boulder demarcation along Beaver Valley Road shall be extended along the entire frontage of Beaver Valley Road parking area as approved by the Township Land Planning Consultant prior to the release of the signed plans. Number 20, the proposed trail sidewalk easements shall be relocated such that the construction is feasible without significant grading, excavation, nor within the PennDOT right-of-way. Number 21, in consideration of the noted trail sidewalk easement, payment of an open space park and recreation fee in lieu is not required. Number 22, an executed operation and maintenance agreement as well as a contribution to Municipal Stormwater Control and BMP Operation and Maintenance Fund is required in the amount of $11,280. 23, appropriate pedestrian vehicle parking and similar signage for the area, including no parking signs on Beaver Valley Road as permitted by PennDOT, and no parking signs on nearby paper streets shall be added to the plans for review and approval by the Township Engineer and Fire Marshal, subject to PennDOT and Township regulations as applicable prior to the release of the final plans. Number 24, a site visit by the Township Engineer and Fire Marshal will be required prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy to review on and off-site signage to determine if additional signage is necessary, subject to PennDOT and Township regulations as applicable. Number 25, there shall be 5 paved handicap parking spaces. No parking shall be permitted between the expanded parking lots and Beaver Valley Road. The entire parking lot east of the entrance drive, eastern lot, shall consist entirely of crushed stone. An additional west parking lot, western lot, sized to accommodate a combined total eastern lot and western lot of at least 100 parking spaces for parking lots on the site shall be designed and submitted for review by the township prior to the release of the signed plans. The western lot shall have a crushed stone drive aisles with the same or similar lighting scheme as the eastern lot. Neither parking lot shall individually exceed 60 spaces. All crushed area stones are to be repaired and replenished to maintain drivable surfaces. Should it be determined that the western lot grass spaces deteriorate, the township maintains the right to require that all parking spaces be crushed stone. Number 26, overflow parking shall be permitted on the remote southwest grass area. Overflow parking is prohibited during inclement weather. Number 27, the parking lots and overflow parking shall be designed as depicted on Exhibit H, attached hereto and incorporated herein. Under no circumstances shall parking more than 246 vehicles be permitted for any event, including special events. No parking may occur outside of the designated areas on the recorded plan. Number 28, natural rubber car stops shall be installed to demarcate all individual parking spots on both the eastern and western lots and added to the plans for review and approval by the township engineer, township engineer prior to the release of the signed plans. Number 29, a corrected deed for the overall tract shall be submitted for review and approval by the township engineer and the township solicitor prior to the release of the final plans. Number 30, signed, sealed surveyor certification of placement of monuments and pins must be filed with the township prior to recording the signed plan. 31, developer agrees to enter into development and improvement security agreements prior to the release of the signed plans. Number 32, plans are to be submitted in electronic format acceptable to the township engineer. Also with the granting of the following 3 waivers. From 160-9H to permit a joint preliminary final subdivision, 160-44A4 to permit alternative surfacing options for the parking areas as approved by the township engineer, and 160-52 to provide recreation areas or a fee. Procedurally, I think we would ask for a motion and a second and then begin discussion on this resolution. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. I see Mr. Petroza is here representing the applicant. We have read these conditions into the record. I'm sure there will be questions from council of either you and/or the owner and/or the engineer. Mr. Donahue, would we best proceed with Mr. Petroza with some opening comments first, or what would you suggest?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, may I
Yes,
proceed?
sure.
Yes. I'd like to address, I think it's only 4 of the comments for either a clarification or a request that the board consider a minor tweak in the condition. The first one is number 9. Developer agrees that any future buildings or expansions will require land development and/or zoning hearing board approval, including the addition of any more than 16 umbrella shade sails and/or associated outdoor seating. Obviously, we have no problem with any additional buildings would require land development, but I don't think a seat or an umbrella sail rises to the level of land development under Pennsylvania law. And, you know, we would prefer that that section was not part of the conditions.
Okay. Why don't we go through them all,
Okay.
Don, and then we'll
Come back.
revisit them? Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
On number 10, hours of operation are limited to 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Fridays and Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sundays through Thursday. Actually, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board for limited licensed wineries preempts that issue, and I've got the statute here. It's 6.3 of the Liquor Code, and it provides the hours that limited wineries may operate. Now, and they're expansive, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day, and we don't have a problem with some limitation on that issue on hours. We would ask for just a slight modification of what the draft resolution says. We'd like to see it from, it says it could begin at 10 a.m. I mean, 11 a.m. is what it currently says. And we'd like that to be just 10 a.m. And in terms of the cessation of activities, we would like it to be 9 p.m. Basically every day. Instead of, it says 8 p.m. on weekdays. With those, we would waive the preemption by the Liquor Code on that issue. So we're basically asking to have hours of operation from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Every day.
Okay. All right. You listen to everybody else. Let the man talk. Thank you. Go ahead.
On number 23, which has to do with the vehicular parking, pedestrian, and similar signage for the area, we have no problem suggesting no parking signs on the plan, but as you point out, the township has pointed out in the resolution, PennDOT has control over the PennDOT road, and we also don't mind if you want us to put some suggested areas on some of the immediate paper streets, but we don't really have any authority to do anything on the paper streets, and we don't want any responsibility for putting them up or paying for no parking signs on the paper streets. If you want us to show them on a plan, we'd be happy to do that, but we just don't have any control over the paper streets and don't think that's our role. The last one is comment number 25, and I think most of it is okay, but it says, for example, the western lot shall have crushed stone drive aisles, and it goes on from there. I would ask the council to consider modifying that to crushed stone drive aisles or some other material satisfactory to the township engineer. There are some interesting other materials that we think will work better, would not interfere with the grass, allow grass to come through them, and yet provide a base of support. So we don't need to specify the particular type, but we will provide the details to the township engineer. And if he finds them satisfactory and council thinks they're okay, then we would like to possibly be able to use those.
Okay. I have a question. It might be more for Nate. And when I read this, it was concerning also. The one about the signs on the private streets, I'm assuming we would have to get permission from the owners of the private streets before we could have even ourselves install signs there.
And when you
Is that
used,
correct?
Yeah, when you use the term private streets, you're referring to the paper streets.
Paper streets, I'm sorry.
And if
Yes.
we're referring to that, yes, it would be a combination of the township and the residents of those streets agreeing to the erection of the signs.
But if we cannot get permission, then de facto, they would not be able to put the signs up, so it all becomes moot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want to clear that one up. I think
Yeah.
that one is handled by, if we're not able to get permission from the people who are on those non-dedicated streets, then we will not be putting signs up there. Okay, that cleared that one up. The other one I had an observation about, what was the first one? Okay, any of my colleagues have questions or on this or anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I have just a few questions.
Yes, sir.
With regard to, one of the items that was raised is the issue of off-site parking, and the code does specifically require that all parking for the site be located within the property lines. So the plan seems to indicate about 85 spots not located within the property lines of this application.
There's a section in your ordinance that says, for other than residential, the parking can be on other properties, and in fact, the township can, nearby properties. I'll get the exact language. And also, the sections that he was citing were in 210-196, and what happened here is we went to court, the court determined that what's been happening at that property is an existing non-conforming lawful use which can continue. The zoning hearing board, it was referred back to the zoning hearing board to give them an opportunity to impose conditions. And the zoning hearing board, because for an agricultural use, and we have an expert in agricultural law here who's prepared to talk about it if you want to hear more, but you may not need to hear more. For agricultural use, it's very common to have parking on grass. And that's because you want to preserve the land. Once you pave it, it's never going to be used for agricultural purposes again. And there's several other reasons why. But the zoning hearing board incorporated only section 210-197, which has to do with the number of parking spaces. Because they recognized that the parking has been on the grass for years, and that's part of the existing non-conforming use. So in my judgment, the zoning hearing board only cited section 210-197 of the zoning code because the court determined that the existing use was a pre-existing non-conforming use. But I'd like to get that section that I'm talking about where parking can be on another property. Can I get that?
Yes, because I think that's relevant because you're referencing the zoning hearing board decision on an item, and it's and that decision was only based off of the 5 acres. So their decision does not apply to the adjacent properties.
Got your point. Let me read this section to you, if I may. This is in 210-1. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. 210-197, and it's 210-197G. I'll read the whole section. It's fairly short. It says, minimum standards, subject to the general requirements for off-street parking space with proper access from street, alley, or driveway shall be provided in all districts in the amount indicated below. Such parking space shall be provided on any lot on which a dwelling is hereafter erected or converted, or in the case of any other use, that's any other use other than a dwelling, on or near the lot on which any main building is hereafter erected or converted. In no case shall the number and arrangement of parking spaces provided or the area devoted to parking be less than the minimum requirements of this section without the approval of the township supervisors. So it specifically says that it can be nearby on another lot.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. With regard to, I'm looking at the plans that I guess were drafted today with regard to the parking, and I'm looking at the proposed western lot. And I see the area that's proposed to be the drive aisle. It terminates before the edge of the property and before it looks like there's a driveway that goes back to some commercial buildings. But in some of the pictures that were submitted earlier, it looks like that actually, that area, I guess I'm asking about the egress. Would the western lot egress out onto that third driveway, or would it go back onto the main property and circulate the tasting room?
If I may, I'd like to call Michael Sioko, the engineer, to address that, to make sure we get it right.
Good evening. My name is Michael Sioko with Catania Engineering Associates. I'm the engineer that prepared these plans. So the intent was that basically you would come back up the hill to the main driveway and exit out in the new configuration, which is a one-way configuration for the
Okay, so you would not look to utilize the driveway that's in the adjacent property?
No. I mean, I had just asked. That's what.
So they would go back to the main
Back
road
up- back up to the main exit.
They wouldn't. It looks like from the pictures. Yeah, the overflow as well as
The overflow would use that lower driveway. I'm sorry, the overflow on the adjacent property, right? That would use the adjacent drive. The newly grass paver or stoned area, whatever
Sure.
that ends up being, that, from just talking with Carly real quickly, that would be they'd come back up the hill and go and loop around and exit out with the rest
Because
of all
it
the
looks
other
like in
traffic.
some of the pictures, it looks like there's already sort of currently
some people that go.
people are driving on that. So I don't know if you're cutting that off in order to direct people back. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then I had a question clarifying the drive aisle on the expansion of the eastern lot. So we were provided two plans. One shows overflow parking, and one shows, I guess, general parking. In the general parking, there are an additional 8 spots above the current lot.
Correct.
And I see a proposed drive aisle
Correct.
for those 4 spots. But then in the overflow parking, there are additional overflow spots adjoining those, and there's a gravel drive aisle that extends the whole way. So is the gravel drive aisle the whole way, or is it just for 4 spots?
It's only for the 4 spots. If that is that way, I was getting phone calls all day long trying to get this. You guys wanted to see the new layout. So apparently, I think it was probably between 2 different revisions, but it's to end at the end of those 8 spots, the 4 and 4.
Mhm.
That was the intent of it, and the rest is just kind of the overflow parking as it exists today.
Okay. This is just a functional question. I see that with the new building, the new barn and deck, there seems to be like a courtyard to the east of the barn with a retaining wall.
Correct.
So is there something envisioned within that courtyard?
So it's some more usable space, but one of the things with that, and I'm not sure if that relays directly on this plan unless you look very closely, that wall will actually go up and extend 8 feet above the parking lot. So it actually ends up being a wall. It'll be like a barrier. The idea being also it'll be more sound relief. Anyone sitting down below, talking or enjoying themselves, that'll have an extra 8 foot of wall above the parking area. It'll also be, you'll be down. Hold on one second. Let me get the elevations. So you're down about 6 feet below grade, and then the wall continues up an extra 8 feet tall, 8 feet higher.
Okay.
So it's like on the bottom. If you're sitting down in the grass area, it's 14 feet tall. If you're up at the parking lot, in one of the handicap spaces, it appears to be 8 feet tall.
Okay. Do you have elevations of the proposed barn?
Do we have any elevations of the barn?
I think they're,
Architectural? architectural drawings.
But I think we do reserve the right to review them prior to releasing the sign plans.
Yeah, we'll definitely
So
have
we
to
will get a
submit.
shot at them.
I just wanted to see if there was anything that we could look at tonight, draft. In terms of, and I just wanted to confirm, so the current deck and tasting room, so we're confirming that that will all be closed. So all of the covered deck and seating area at the house will be shut down and no longer part of the public tasting room once the new tasting room opens. Is that correct?
It's not going to be tasting room, but it would be office space,
correct,
storage space.
Okay, but it's not seating area.
Not for tasting room, right?
Okay.
It's not yet.
That's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else with any questions?
Yeah, if I may, Mr. President, and just for clarification on 25, and there's a reference to, also to an Exhibit H. Exhibit H was not received until later this afternoon. But make it clear that in terms of the western lot and the eastern lot, it will be the township engineer and the township officials in conjunction with the applicant to decide how those 100 spaces are going to be laid out between the eastern lot and the western lot. So this Exhibit H is not per se going to necessarily be exactly the layout.
That's what they have now, right? Or we just put the food trucks on the weekends.
Briefly, the fact that new plans that significantly changed the parking setup were submitted to the township today. The public and the people opposing this plan have had no opportunity to examine those plans and comment on them. In fact, my client made an additional right-to-know request this morning and was provided with, I mean, we've done the best we possibly could. And this was submitted this afternoon?
This just came in this afternoon because we've been working on this diligently since the Planning Commission meeting. And the plans that were generated and released this afternoon were after many, many hours of my time and our consultants' time and my colleagues' time in coming to some sort of drawing that would best describe what we were looking for from the developer. Now, the fact that it was released later this afternoon, I've been doing this now for, Chairman, now for, what, 26 years? This isn't the first time we've developed something in late afternoon and added it to the agreement. We're here to vote on the land development plan, and as long as what they submitted, in my opinion, if it complies with our ordinances, that's what we have to answer to first. So I apologize in the delay in not having it out, but it was out and it was developed in conjunction with working with the developer.
And Counselor, I think you're misinterpreting something here. This board or this council will impose the conditions they deem appropriate for an application, despite what the plans say. Because if this council decides that there should be parking in a westerly lot and there should be parking in an easterly lot, and it's safer and it's better and it makes more sense, they have the right to do so. And that's what is taking place here, despite any kind of plan that's submitted by an applicant.
I understand. I appreciate the hard work, and I just want to register that as an opposition for the record, objection for the record, because we, you know, the public deserves the opportunity to have that due process and be able to give that input to the township.
Your comment is noted and made part of the record.
Okay. All right. Anything else from down that end of the table here? We good? We read a resolution into the record. However, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's 4 items that you asked for some consideration of relief, which would mean we would need to decide how we feel on each one. The first one was regarding the number 9, which was regarding that it would have to go back for land development approval if there were any future buildings and expansions. And I think, Mr. Petroza, if I'm understanding you correctly, you were okay with that, but the comment that was causing you concern was, the way it read was that you would also have to go back for land development and zoning approval if they added more shade sails or outdoor seating. Is that
Yes, sir,
correct?
that's exactly right.
So you would be asking us to consider removing the umbrella shade sails and/or associated outdoor seating. I'll make sure I have them all right, correct first, and then I'll ask my colleagues their opinion. Number 10 was you just wanted all the hours to be from 10 to 9
Yes, sir.
when they're open. Number 23, I think we talked about that. I don't think we need to deal with that. If we can't get you the permission to put signs on the private streets, then they will not be on the private streets. So I think that can stay as written if that's okay with our solicitor. You, is that okay?
Sure.
And then the last one was regarding the, instead of using stone drive aisles, using I guess a pervious paver or some sort of plastic material. Nate, I guess as one of the members that's going to vote on this, what is your opinion on one versus the other? From a cost perspective and also from a functions perspective. I've been told that sometimes with the masonry pavers, if you're on a slope and the cars do dry on that, it basically eats away the grass, and if the rain does flow across those pavers, it's basically going to create mud at the end. If it's a flat surface, it's a different thing, but I'm sure myself and my colleagues would appreciate your opinion, because that's more of a technical question.
No,
Yeah,
look, I think.
I just had a question on that one, that same one. With the aisleway, if we do use anything other than the gravel, over a period of time, that's going to go sink into the ground with wet grounds. And that is also going to cause erosion because there's really no, with the cars constantly driving every day or on weekends in that area, there's no chance for the grass to grow there. So that is going to cause some erosion towards the slope, which is further down in that parking area.
Sure. So a couple things. One is none of those options are maintenance-free. They've all got pros and cons. And I think, again, the way that condition was worded, at least in my opinion, was if there's an alternative solution that's, for lack of a better term, green, that has some positives to it, and they can implement that, and it works, then that's a win. We have less paving, less impervious coverage. If we've got to find an alternative method because it's not working and it's not being maintained properly, I believe we've got that language in this condition as well. So I think we kind of got belts and suspenders on that, while also, not installing a asphalt parking lot, in this area of the township in Beaver Creek, I think is also a positive. It's just going to have more opportunities for infiltration. So, I definitely would support those alternatives to asphalt.
Well, I think the way it's worded is as the entire plot, well, the parking lot's going to be crushed stone. Drive aisles.
I think we're just talking about the aisleway, right?
Yes, we're just talking about the westerly lot, the drive aisles.
What I'm reading here is the drive aisles, and this will be stone, period.
Because that's going to see the most traffic, right? Okay. But so that's why we're trying to kind of focus on that.
Yeah, because my concern is cars slipping once it's wet ground with all the dirt on
I'm sensing
top.
from my colleagues that you'd like to leave that as written.
Yeah.
We'll keep it to crushed stone.
I would, because the alternative, this position of only graveling the drive aisles is a compromise from graveling the entire lot. And that's why we also reserve to gravel the entire lot, because, it's really about the overall safety of the site, and also just from a cost perspective for you. If you were to install the rubber mats or whatever, and then the township came along and said, well, no, you need to gravel the whole thing now. You've spent money on the mats, and now you've spent money on the gravel, versus if we start with the gravel and we need to expand it, it's within, it's not doubling efforts.
Okay.
You're correct. We were not talking about masonry pavers. These were like
Sure.
a recycled plastic type of.
I think.
I saw those, but.
I think it's stone. Okay. Unfortunately, that's where we are. We'll leave that one alone. So now we're back to 9 and 10. I personally, if the LCB allows for longer hours, I have no objection from 10 to 9 each day.
Dominic, just give it 8. Just go 8.
Thank you.
I don't agree with it during the week.
Do we have,
Let's maintain some order here. We're trying to have a dialogue.
Mr. President?
She was trying to give her opinion, and she was shouted down. Go ahead.
Hi, I don't think it's appropriate for during the week. I think 8 p.m. is enough time. I can see the 9 p.m. for Friday and Saturday nights, but I think 8 p.m. is suitable for Sunday through Thursday.
But I just want you to understand, it's our position that the Liquor Control Board preempts this, and the township has no legal
Well,
authority.
Mr., with all due respect, excuse me, the Liquor Control Board has some control, but the township can exercise some reasonable conditions. Okay, so keeping that in mind, it's not absolute. That's all I just want to make clear.
I'm just talking about this issue. You know,
I understand.
I've got an expert here in liquor law, and that's what he tells me.
So we have, I believe we've addressed restricting liquor sales hours in all of our grocery stores as well, and we've received.
This is a different type of license. It's a licensed limited winery, which has a different license than all the liquor stores. This pertains to licensed limited wineries.
So I do have a question about the timing for the request to be up to 9 p.m. On weekdays, I think 9 p.m. is very long. We have residents living around, and they have to get to work next day. And if we're going to have music playing there, I don't think it's fair for our residents.
Well, the way this is worded, if there were to, if there were to be an event inside after the barn is built, they couldn't go past 8 p.m. If somebody had a party that was starting after work at 7 o'clock, they'd have to stop exactly. That doesn't make any sense. And the other part of it was, instead of, why do we have to wait till 11 a.m. to start when we could, what's wrong with 10 a.m.? I don't understand why that's a problem.
What are your current hours of operation? Because there seem to be some discrepancy between what's on Google versus what's on the website versus what's publicized. So I just wanted to get clarification.
Sure.
So given
Hours being extended, we would look for hosting corporate events in the evening indoors, no outdoor amplified music.
So even the hours as stated in this resolution are really an extension of your current hours.
Well, 8 p.m. in summer.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on when it gets dark. I mean, right now they're outside.
And that's because we're operating exclusively outdoors. We're trying to do things indoors to bring, further income.
Is there
So
an
then
option?
Is
there an option to have indoor hours and outdoor hours?
As stated in this resolution are really an extension of your current hours.
Well, 8 p.m. in summer, sometimes we stay.
It depends on when it gets dark. I mean, right now they can outside.
And that's because we're operating exclusively outdoors. We're trying to do things indoors to bring, further income in.
Is there an option to have indoor hours and outdoor hours?
Yeah, definitely.
And some limitation perhaps to outdoor amplified music, because I think there's obviously a difference between any amplified music projecting into the great outdoors versus if you have
Well, right now we
speaker
only
inside.
we only have music from 1 to 4 or 2 to 5. And that doesn't we have no plans to change that. These are for evening events that I'd like to do indoors.
So if the indoor hours were to, what some of my colleagues mentioned, Sunday through Thursday, 10 to 8, and Friday and Saturday, 10 to 9, but the outdoor hours were
Well, that's what the hours are right now. I mean, the total hours for everything is what you just said. And we want to start at 10 instead of 11, and go to 9 instead of 8 during the week. It already allows us 9 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
But I believe what the council, what she's trying to indicate is, I assume that when the barn is completed, you will have the ability to move the music inside. And then we wouldn't have a problem with outside music. So maybe should be some bifurcation.
Right. Inside out. Yeah, I understand. You want to keep the outside hours?
Yeah, the outside hours as listed, and then inside hours and extended.
Inside hours extended to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sunday through Thursday.
I think that's a reasonable compromise, the inside hours and the outside hours.
And you can add in there that there's no amplified music outside after, dusk if you want.
So inside hours, we're going to be what? What were the inside hours?
Inside would be 10 to 9.
10 to 9.
Outside.
Outside was as
You can
written.
you can do 11 to,
As written.
yeah, as written.
All right.
So with regard to the amplified music,
No amplified music after,
did you say that you only have amplified music currently on the weekends?
we only have it on Saturday and Sunday afternoons.
Right, so
Sometimes we'll do like a happy hour on Fridays, but we stopped doing that.
So then I would propose that condition 11 also be modified to say, no outdoor music, outdoor music permitted only on weekends until dusk.
Dusk is 8 o'clock.
Let's put a time on. All right, let's put a time on.
Although the hours are already 8 o'clock.
If you knock the music off at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, that's fine. But we're not going to 8 o'clock.
Give me a number.
7 p.m.
I'm sorry. I really appreciate the time, but you guys are debating something and you haven't even given us a chance.
We gave everyone a chance earlier in the meeting to
You
talk.
are not changing the position. We didn't have nothing, and you took time to change the plans until 4 o'clock.
Right.
We had a right to do that. Now you're discussing. Thank you so much. A really great idea, by the way, for the indoor versus outdoor. I think that's awesome. And they know how to be reasonable. And I don't appreciate you all acting as if you're acting in our best interest. You haven't even talked to us.
You're represented by counsel who did speak for you, and we deliberate in public, and this is what we're deliberating on. This is our job.
Okay, let's get back to the hours. So the inside hours were 10 to 9, right? And the outside hours were going to be 10 to, the music would be 7?
Yeah,
Music stops at 7.
Limited to weekends.
What about during the week?
Music
No music during the
is
week.
limited
Weekends
to
only.
the weekends.
How about the time during the week, when you close?
When they close would be 8. I think that's there now. 8 o'clock. 8. We're gonna have to amend the thing, okay. How about the one with the, adding of the umbrellas, going back to zoning board? I think that's a little, onerous.
And I guess that the question is, the shade sales seem to have, I don't know, given birth to themselves and grown. Like, I remember when there were maybe 4 or 5, and then I think there are like 16 now, and they cover a lot of area. And I totally understand, I can appreciate, obviously, not sitting in the sun, but sort of what's the limit? I mean, if we don't put a limitation on this, you could arguably cover the entire property with shade sales. So that's what we're trying to limit here. Also, because for every shade sale, there's associated seating underneath. And obviously, if you have seating underneath, it's because you anticipate patronage. And if you anticipate customers, that's parking. And so I'm trying to get a sense of capacity and limiting capacity and making sure that adequate parking is provided for that capacity. So if you have the ability to add more and more seats, unlimited, how do we account for sufficient parking?
We can't fit any more parking.
Correct, but, so now we're limiting the parking here, and
That
so.
way, it's just kind of like, I don't wanna have to worry about like the table breaks, like we threw away 5 tables this year.
If right now there's 16 sunshades, maybe,
I don't know
maybe
that-
we need to put a period after sunshades and take out outdoor associated seating areas. Because you can't add any more sunshades.
We just added those because the umbrellas were dangerous for the wind.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can appreciate as a visitor to the winery, not, necessarily wanting to be out in the exposed sun, but I think, and whether or not that requires land development, right, or zoning hearing board approval is different than us imposing a condition. Because I think we can impose a condition that just says, you are limited to the 16 current. Not saying you need to go to zoning hearing board or whatever, you can probably come back to council for relief, and I was wondering how that needs to be separated.
I was just trying to read it. My suggestion was developer agrees any future buildings or expansions will require land development under zoning board approval, including the addition of any more than the existing 16 umbrella shade sales period.
Or we can separate that, say, zoning hearing board approval, period. Umbrellas, shade sales are limited to 16.
Okay.
Just limited. Because it's not a zoning hearing board question.
And the others would be the inside hours are 10 to 9. The outside hours are as written, but the music would stop at 7 p.m. and no weeknight music. Correct?
Only weekend music.
Only weeknight music. And number 23, that was the one with the signs, we're not going to change that. And number 25, we'd like to see the stone in the driveways as opposed to an alternate material.
25 staying the same.
23 stays the same also.
With regard to the parking, I mean, we saw a lot of exhibits tonight regarding parking, kind of all over the place, for lack of a better thing. And that's wonderful that people want to come out. It's wonderful that they are supporting the business. I think we're trying to put some structure around this so that it's safe for everyone, everyone's clear. I mean, when I've been there in the past, it's a little unclear, like where to drive, how to drive. Sort of feels like an old bike rodeo when I was in 4-H, as opposed to organized parking. And so, we have the 100 spaces allocated between basically the 2 lots, and then there's overflow parking spaces. Are you amenable to the overflow parking spaces being limited to permitted special events?
The only problem, there are some random beautiful days where we have more people come in and to be able to use that extra space as an agricultural, destination would be nice.
There have been complaints about vehicles parking on private streets, and if there does happen to be an unusually big crowd for a particular event, I think it makes more sense to have a way to get them off the street than have them driving through the neighborhood.
Oh, my God.
I guess the thing is that this is probably the most formalized, parking plan that you have today. You don't probably, I think, currently have something that's as delineated as this, either for parking lots or for grass parking. And so, I would ask that that this needs to be policed and monitored by you as the owners to ensure that this is what occurs and not sort of something more haywire. So whether that's, parking assistants or valet or something like that, but to ensure that this plan is complied with.
Yeah, we do have, we've kind of ramped up our parking attendants for those nicer, beautiful days. I mean, some days we'll have like 5 or 6 of them.
And it would be good if you prioritize parking in the gravel lots and the other lots and only use the grass areas, not, for true overflow. Because I think, even now, I believe all the strings and cones are all still out there from maybe the Derby event, or at
We
least.
put them up each week, just.
Say again?
We put them up each week to keep things organized.
Okay. So that
And we take them down.
Right, so then in this case, once this plan is approved from a parking perspective, they should align with that and not necessarily, to me, overflow is overflow. Overflow is not normal, it's not regular, that's not all the time. So it just looks a little tacky, in my opinion, to have strings up all the time. You know what I mean? I completely understand on a special event, etc. But otherwise, I'd like to sort of leave the parking into the designated lots.
I just have one more comment. On the buffering from the parking lot to the road, I do think that would be very helpful in buffering the parking lot from Beaver Valley. And just to make sure that it is completely buffering the vehicles from the road.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Benita, you want to add something about the sequencing of this, or?
So,
Well,
why don't you take your vote first and then we'll.
No, let me go back. So what we would have to do, we would probably need a new motion and a new second. We'd have to move to amend, and the same two that made the motions could do the same. We would be changing 2 of the conditions. Number 9, we would be deleting anything to do with the sun sales. John, you had it. You want to put a period after zoning board? And then what did you want to add was the wording? I think you said.
Shade sales are limited to 16.
Okay, that was it. And then on the hours of operation, I wrote it down 3 different times. Inside hours were 10 to 9. Outside are as written. Music will stop at 7 p.m. And there will be no weeknight loud music, live music. Other than that, all the other conditions would remain the same. Would we have a motion to amend?
I'll make the motion to amend as stated.
Okay, wait a minute.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Because the motion has been amended, the resolution has been amended, I believe a brief public comment on a specific legal point is in order.
No, it's not, sir. No, it's not.
I'll defer to
They're going to amend it, they're going to take their vote.
This limited winery license under the liquor code does not permit amplified music if it can be heard beyond the property.
No, that's not true.
Gentlemen, please, Mr. Matursi. We have a motion, the motion's been seconded. Would you please conduct the vote, Mr. Chair?
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Before I vote, I need some clarification. Listen to the applicant's attorney make a statement that the stormwater management does not comply with the ordinances. I've looked through the Pinoni letters, I didn't see anything to the contrary. I just wanted to ask our township engineer, does the plans that are submitted, do they meet the township ordinances for stormwater management?
Simply put, yes.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll need a motion, we have a motion and a second to amend the ordinance. All those in favor of making the amendments, we'll take that vote first. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, now we're going to make a motion. All those in favor of approving resolution number 29 of 2025 with the changes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. With the vote show, it was unanimous. Good luck with your project.
If I may, Mr. President, I'd like to make some comments, just so everybody is clear on this. These various conditions will go into effect if and when a CO is issued for this particular project. That's number one. Number two, and I'm expressing this to the audience, there is a difference, shall we say, between, well, even though it involves the same venue, between this application and special events. And there have been comments, various comments made and addressed to this board concerning special events. And all I can say is that you may want to have the board consider the comments in reference to special events in a different context, if you understand what I'm saying. Thank you very much.
Also just say that with regard to this plan and these approvals, council has deliberated about this and been very thoughtful in our deliberation because we aren't just council members, we're neighbors. I live on Smith Bridge Road through the woods. I can walk to the winery. Larry Muchler lives across the street. The two planning commission members live in Brandywine Summit and on Ruby Road. So we have reviewed this as neighbors, but obviously you don't care.
Next item on the agenda is resolution number 30 of 2025. A resolution pursuant to section 209 of the Township Home Rule Charter allowing the taking of land via eminent domain for recreational purposes. Can you give us a little bit of background on this, please?
Certainly. So, as you all are aware, the Smith Bridge Road roundabout project has been going on in excess of 2 years. And the township has been attempting to acquire different portions of properties with reference to that project. There has been one particular property where there's been some undue delay, I'll leave it at that, and I'm asking this council that I be given the authority to pursue eminent domain proceedings with the easements if resolution cannot be reached. Recently, that property owner has reached out and has indicated that they now may want to cooperate with the township, but that remains to be seen.
Okay.
So I'm just merely looking for the authority to proceed with eminent domain if necessary with respect to the property that's set forth in the resolution.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve resolution 30 of 2025? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.